Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another weird world, where we talk about how weird the world is. My name is Vince. Hey, how's it going? In today's episode, we're going to be talking about arguably the largest fraud scheme in history, and it has to do with a good old frying pandemic. And just to get a grasp and an estimate on how much has been stolen, about 90 to 400 billion was stolen through the relief program. What's actually insane is that if the number of convicted cases were like tripled right now, or even quadrupled, it would still be a small fraction of what was actually stolen. It's literally impossible to find them all by hand. So there are data scientists in California that are creating programs and algorithms to find any discrepancies in any records or data just to find these people. I've got a list of a few people that have been caught, and that's the list we're going to go through on this video, starting from the lowest amount of money taken to the most amount of money taken. Danielle Miller. Danielle Miller is a 32-year-old woman from Miami, Florida, and she's a social media influencer with over 34,000 followers on Instagram, which is more than me, so follow me. So basically what she did, around July 2020 to May 2021, she used fake IDs. She used 10 different people's information, and she created a fake business to apply for these loans, and she actually received more than $1 million in government relief loans. She also held fake driver's license in the victims' names, but replacing it with her own photo. And in August 2020, she used a fake ID in the name of a fake Massachusetts victim to get a flight on a private jet from Florida to California, and there she stayed at a luxury hotel under the victim's name. And then with another fake ID under a different name, she rented a luxury apartment in Florida. And at the time when this news was breaking out, she would post on Instagram saying that people are giving out fake news, saying that people are talking trash about her. When in court, she accepted responsibility for her actions and has expressed her remorse to the court, the government, and the victims affected. And she was sentenced to 5 years in prison. Elias Elias. Elias is 31 years old from Washington, D.C. From July 2020 to May 2021, he used his company Elias Systems LLC to apply for at least 25 PPP loans, and that totaled to more than $30 million. Now that's what he was trying to go for, and he didn't get that much. He also submitted applications for the EIDL, and that totaled just under $1 million. Even though he was attempting to apply for over $30 million, he successfully got $2.4 million. While doing this, he used a stolen identity as the owner of Elias Systems LLC, as well as a bunch of other applications. But not just that, he used even more stolen identities, stolen tax returns, and stolen financial records from a consulting company that he could use to apply for. He also altered stolen documents to appear to be tax returns and payroll records for his company. He wired the money to at least 13 different bank accounts and brokerage accounts. He bought nearly $300,000 in cryptocurrency, conducting over 2,000 transactions. And who has the time for 2,000 transactions? Involving at least 43 different cryptos. He bought a Tesla, invested in some more stock options, cryptocurrency, and covered rent, hotels, dog boarding, and many more expenses. I don't know why I listed that. On April 8, 2021, warrants were put out for a seizure of his bank account, so he tried to transfer the funds into different bank accounts to try to avoid that. But of course, it's the government. Of course they're gonna get that. And as part of his plea agreement, he had to forfeit the Tesla and 21 of his bank accounts and liquidate his cryptocurrency, and he had to give all that back to the government. And he was sentenced to 10 years in prison. Hello. David Hines. David Hines is a 29-year-old man from Miami, Florida. He applied for over $13.5 million in PPP loans using fake information about a fake company's payroll. And at the time, he got approved for nearly $4 million. Bro. And just within days of getting the loan, he bought a 2020 Huracan Evo, and that cost over $300,000. He registered the Huracan jointly in his name and the name of one of his companies. He also spent money on luxury items, Miami beach resorts, and apparently dating sites. He was also involved in a hit-and-run accident that investigators were able to link him to a sports car that was reaching speeds of over 200 miles per hour. He was arrested and charged for fraudulently obtaining nearly $4 million in PPP loans, as well as using those funds to buy luxury items. The authorities, of course, seized the Huracan, and he was ordered to forfeit the money. He pled guilty to fraud and was sentenced to 6 years in prison. To be honest, with that amount of money stolen, I feel like that's like a slap on the wrist. Mustafa Kadiri. Now, Mustafa is a 42-year-old man from Irvine, California, and he was able to get his hands on $5 million in relief paychecks. And of course, he spent it on a Ferrari, Lamborghini, Bentley, as well as like vacations too. And he did it in May and June of 2020. He applied for the PPP loans to 3 different banks using different company names. He created fake tax returns and falsified bank balances. He pled guilty in July of 2021 to bank fraud, aggravated identity theft, and money laundering. The authorities, of course, repoed all the cars, confiscated all the money from his bank accounts, and he was sentenced to 4.5 years in prison, which honestly feels like a slap on the wrist, I'm not gonna lie. Marietta Terbell and Richard Ivasian. Marietta Terbell. I don't know if I pronounced that right. So the couple of Richard, who's 44, and the wife Marietta, who's 38, were convicted in June 2021 for leading a conspiracy to fraudulently obtaining more than $20 million in relief funds. And the craziest thing is that while on bond, they decided to cut their tracking bracelets and fled all the way to Montenegro. Now they were able to get a ton of money because they were involved in a LA-based fraud ring, fraudulently taking PPP loans, EIDL loans. And how they did it was using dozens of stolen identities, names from elderly people, people who are dead, and international students who haven't returned to the US yet. I don't know how they even found that, but somehow they have. They filled out 150 fake applications for either PPP or EIDL loans. They used the money to put down payments on luxury homes in Tarzana, Glendale, and Palm Desert, also buying gold coins, diamonds, jewelry, luxury watches, designer handbags, clothing, a motorcycle, basically anything a materialistic person would want. And also Richard's brother was also involved in this, and he was sentenced to 5 years in prison. And after fleeing the country and of course being caught, Richard was sentenced to 17 years in prison, his wife was sentenced to 6 years in prison, and his brother was sentenced to 5 years in prison. Now $20 million for any couple is a ton of money. You could really go crazy, to be honest. Now I wish this would have turned into some Robin Hood story where a guy steals money but then uses it for good and helps a whole community. No way in hell a Ferrari in the garage of a mansion is gonna help anyone. But all jokes aside, it's actually horrible because there are people who have applied for these programs and didn't get accepted and they actually needed them genuinely. And then you have people like this who take advantage of the situation, which is really shitty, you know what I mean? But anyways guys, I'm gonna end it there. Thank you for watching and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Yeah, no way, talk down and we finish, babe. Count up, yeah, we getting to the cake. Speed up, never got my foot on brake. Boss up, on my mama, this my fate.